After months of trade speculation, the New York Giants have released former Pro Bowl cornerback James Bradberry on Monday afternoon, and you know the drill by now. Should the Patriots be interested? Will they be interested? We'll discuss that and more in this video. I'm Evan Lazar for CLNS Media. Now, the Patriots were not one of the teams, I'm told, that were interested in trading for Bradberry. The cornerback nearly was traded to the Houston Texans, according to multiple reports. There was actually a deal in place between the Giants and the Texans for a late draft pick to bring Bradberry to Houston. But the Texans and Bradberry's camp could not iron out a new deal, ripping up his old contract and starting afresh. They couldn't mend that bridge, and that ship has now sailed as the Texans have drafted Derek Stingley with the 3rd overall pick. They also signed veteran quarter Steven Nelson. So it doesn't sound like the Texans are going to be back in the James Bradberry sweepstakes now that he is a free agent. Now, over the last 2 seasons, Bradberry did work with Joe Judge and Patrick Graham in New York in a Patriots adjacent defensive system. A lot of man coverage. He's certainly much better in man than he is in zone. Somebody that's a physical defender. The Patriots also got a nice look at him at joint practices last summer, where he actually stood out for those couple of days and picked off Mac Jones and Cam Newton a couple of times in those practices in Foxborough. So I actually see the fit with Bradberry, who certainly would come in day one and be the best cornerback on the Patriots roster and would serve as a nice bridge to the 2 youngsters they just drafted in Marcus Jones and Jack Jones, and potentially allow those guys to come along, as well as Terrence Mitchell and Malcolm Butler being in that room, to give them some time to develop with some veterans ahead of them. And I think James Bradberry would instantly make the Patriots a better defense if he was signed today to New England's roster. With that being said, the Patriots weren't interested in a trade. That was mostly salary cap driven. Now that he's a free agent, I could potentially see them dipping their toes in that water, but I don't expect the talks to advance past much initial kicking of the tires interest, due to the fact that Bradberry is expected to have several suitors. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers make some sense. The Buffalo Bills did just draft Kaiir Elam in the 1st round, but they've been rumored to be in that veteran cornerback market as well. So I think there are going to be plenty of teams that are going to be lining up to potentially sign James Bradberry, and eventually that's going to price him out of the Patriots market. My read on it, the Patriots feel pretty good at this point about going at least into training camp with the cornerback group they have, with Jonathan Jones coming back from injury, Terrence Mitchell now in the fold, Malcolm Butler back in the building. Those 3 veterans, along with Jalen Mills, give the Patriots a little bit of a bridge there to build towards the next generation. And then obviously the 2 Joneses in the 3rd and the 4th round in the draft are part of that next generation. So I think they feel decent about their cornerback depth. Obviously, James Bradberry would be a nice cherry on top. You know, he'd be the best one in that group, but I don't really expect the Patriots to be too interested in Bradberry, mainly due to the price point, and they're not going to compete with other teams on a top of market offer deal. So we'll see what happens. I don't expect it to be in New England, but James Bradberry is going to have some suitors, and he will be off the market quickly now that he's been officially released by the New York Giants. You can check out the rest of our Patriots coverage as we head into OTAs and Patriots minicamp next month right here on Patriots Press Pass, and you can find more James Bradberry takes and Patriots takes on Patriots Beat, my podcast with myself and Alex Barth every Tuesday and Thursday. So the news here today, James Bradberry officially released by the New York Giants, now a free agent set to sign with any team. We'll see if it ends up being in New England. I'm Evan Lazar for CLNS Media. Thanks for watching.